Hello there, this is Gary Sharp with Gibraltar Software. Welcome to this video on getting started with Loupe and Windows Services. In this video we're going to quickly get you up and running logging your Windows Services events to Loupe. So let's get started. We're going to start from a position where you already have an existing service application and you want to connect it to Loupe. A really great way to do this is by using the wizard right here on the start page. The first page of the wizard allows us to point Loupe at our application. There are a number of files that you can select at this point, but we'll go ahead and select the project file. For information on other file types that you could select, consult the documentation at the URL on screen now. For the rest of the wizard pages, we'll just accept the defaults, remembering to input our email address when asked. Don't worry too much about these pages right now, we'll cover them in greater detail in future videos. Back in Visual Studio, the wizard has registered the agent for us. Now in a team environment, it will be up to you to manage these dependencies, either via NuGet or by having everyone in your team install Desktop Loupe. You can also see that the wizard has added a file link to the packager so that it will be deployed with your application. We'll look more closely at the packager in future videos. Here in the app.config file, you can see the changes that the wizard has made to enable the agent and the packager to work with your application. You can add this code manually, of course, and you can edit it at any time. Since the Gibraltar agent is a strongly named assembly, a minor startup delay can happen as the .NET framework validates the signature. Microsoft recommends that you disable strong name validation for Windows services. Although the agent will start the first time you make a call to either the log object or to debug, trace or console, best practice is to explicitly start and end the session using the appropriate methods. Here we can see the use of log.startSession in the service's onStart method. Also, because services are long-running processes and the packager won't send the session information until the session ends, we're going to hook up the message alert event so that we can send the session events if an error occurs. Here in our worker function, we're going to set off some information, warning and error events. Note the use of the .delimited category name. We'll see the effect of these later on in the video. Finally, as discussed, note the use of log.endSession in the service's onStop method. This is required to enable the session to end cleanly and be sent to Loupe. Having started our service, it will begin sending log events. These events will be visible immediately in the live viewer. Notice that although we are still using Live Viewer here and don't have access to the enhanced metrics that we will have access to when the session ends, Loupe still provides us with a wealth of information regarding the category of the event as well as the class and method in which it was logged. This alone can be very helpful when debugging. Pressing Save in the Live Viewer sends the current data to Loupe, where we can find it in a folder with the same name as our service. I mentioned previously that using the .delimited category name allowed Loupe to filter our events in a sensible manner. Here we can see the result of that. Let's limit the events we are looking at to just those that we generated. Much like the live viewer, this view of the session gives us information on the category, class and method where the event was logged, as well as information on any exception that was passed at logging time. As with the live viewer, we also get a view into the source code where the event was logged. Lastly, I want to take a look at the many metrics that Loupe records automatically with no effort on your part, giving you great insight into how your application is used and what resources it is consuming. To finish, we'll grab a couple of the memory metrics and graph them so you can see how simple it is. More information on the data managed by Loupe can be found at the URL on screen now. Well, that's it for this video on getting started with Loupe Desktop and Windows Services. I hope you'll join me for the next video in this series. Until then, goodbye.